I was never one of those persons that was like, I need to have alcohol. That wasn't how it was. But when I would start drinking, like you said, like I just didn't have an off switch.
A guy that picked himself up every single day, no matter what, up 5 o'clock in the morning. Didn't matter if he had a fever, didn't matter how cold it was. That's where I get my push from. That's where I get my drive.
No problem treating you like an adult, but this is the expectations I gotta have. I'm like, one, your consequences just incrementally raised. Like
Right.
everything is higher now that you want to be treated like an adult. And I'm like, remember, if you screw something up, I will knock you on your ass. And he looked
Perfect.
at me and I was like, that's what it's like to be an adult.
You find me fucking somebody to talk to, but it can't be a doctor. I don't want doctor in front of their name because I just want a regular dude that actually understands me. We're human, we make mistakes, but I'm learning from those mistakes like you have been doing over the last 2 years, which is, but bringing up the whole being a perfectionist is exactly what I went over today with him. So I wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, it's super important. And I think especially again in guys in today's world, it's just confusing as hell to begin with because, you know, I feel like we've lost the the role of masculinity,
Oh,
and because of it, it's made it really hard on guys because we're supposed to be masculine. That's
absolutely.
what the makeup and DNA of a male is. Now, it's funny because when I bring this up to some people and they start going off on chauvinistic males, I'm like, that is not what I'm talking about.
Right,
I'm
right,
talking about masculinity and the importance of that. Being a chauvinist is not being masculine. That's actually the opposite.
right.
And I feel, and it's funny because I've talked about this in depth on wanting to really bring masculinity back to the market, because
Love it.
we need to be men and we need to show men being a man means also stepping up into your weaknesses
Yeah.
and not flushing them down with alcohol,
Or
uh,
whatever else it may be, drugs.
or exactly, or whatever drug is your
And
choice.
and
Yeah,
and and by the
however
way,
you do it.
yeah, I did it all. Just so
Yeah.
you know, I had an opioid problem. That also I was, you add any other drug, cocaine, you wanted Molly, like anything that I could suppress what it was going on from the anger that would give me and would put
Mhm.
me in a different state, along with the alcohol, which was like again, that was a daily thing which here's another thing I'll give you. Didn't know I had anxiety. Never knew it because I never thought about anxiety as being something a guy is supposed to have. And like I'd wake up and be like, okay, well, I got this feeling that like I'm anxious, but like, all right, let's go have a drink. And then, okay, suppresses it back down. Now I wake up, I pray. I swear that's what I do. And I finally, I'm going on 27 weeks or something. It's something that's where I'm at right now. Finally, I literally 27 weeks ago, I handed it to God and I said, please, even now being sober, like, from everything, I still would wake up with that feeling like again, want to be a perfectionist and having to get everything done, getting that checklist done every single day of all the things you need to do. And then when you don't do it, you feel like you failed. And I would wake up with that same routine every day. And I said, you know what, Lord, please just take this and you handle it and I don't want to deal. So every morning I wake up, do my prayers, and it takes it away. And I go about my day. And I'm like, I can't believe how much better I feel just from doing that. And it's as simple as one little thing like that that changes your mindset from the way we are to, hey, slow it down a little bit. It's okay. It's going to be all right. So, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
And I think that's another thing that really clicked for me also is, when it comes to being a being a guy and asking for help, I always thought asking for help was a weakness.
Right.
And I actually have flipped that idea, and now my whole message is asking for help is your greatest strength, right? Because it shows you're open, it shows you're vulnerable, and it shows you're willing to change. So, it's been, as I've kind of dug back through myself, because I've been working with people like this for years, right? But
Right.
I never turned it back on myself. It was more along the lines of wow, if I could help others, then I'll be okay.
Right, 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 right.
Right.
Yeah,
It just doesn't work like
it
that.
doesn't work
As
like
much
that.
as you want it to,
I
you got
agree.
to do the work. It's almost like I want to be in shape, but I don't want to go and do the exercises.
Right, right. I
You
don't want
know?
to eat properly. I don't want to do the exercise,
Exactly.
but I want to look like an Adonis. Yeah. Trust me,
Exactly.
just like you, which you're in phenomenal shape and I put myself back in phenomenal shape. And I told you at one point I was almost 300 pounds when I got done playing baseball. You saw the picture.
I
It was
did.
not pretty. It was not pretty. Uh, but that's the thing I was in going back to the being that alpha male, putting yourself last every single day, not the male chauvinistic guy puts himself first every day, and it's about him. The super alpha male put themselves last every single day to make sure that their family comes first, God, then their family, and then even my dogs come before me, and then myself every single day. And talk about humbling and talk about like really getting off that pedestal of like, oh, you're not as good as you really think you are,
Yeah.
and finding ways to help others, it changes your life. It really
Oh,
does.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, that's why they always talk about how giving is, you know, and caring and helping others is the fuel
it really
really
is.
that really fuels everything.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Question about your son.
Hmm.
Did he have any was there anything like, was he angry at you? Was he upset? Like when that whole thing went down, like, because listen, I know I made a lot of mistakes with my kids. I have a total of five. Um, I don't know if I shared this with you. My oldest, I have three with my ex-wife.
Hmm.
My wife has an 11-year-old who is awesome, and I get an opportunity to do it all over again. So I have, and my oldest birth son, who is 25, his best friend Wandre, black kid in New Jersey, won four state football championships. His dad went to prison when he was in junior high. He was at my house all the time. I kind of took him in junior year because he was fucking up in school. So he's an adopted son, not fully adopted, but like we talk daily. So I have five total, and I know I made a lot of mistakes when I was in Jersey. I was present but not present. And I
Sure.
tell my 11-year-old, you get the best version of me now. Like, you may not like it every day because there's days I'm hard on him and he doesn't want, he's like an only
Of
child. So
course.
that's a whole different ballgame than having three and or almost four, like when I was raising them, versus to where I am today with just, one in the house. Um, but I always think back, I made mistakes, and I find myself today as they're in their 20s, and I have a beautiful daughter who's 24. Uh, and I have my 19-year-old son who's turning 20 this week, actually, who lives in Florida now at IMG playing baseball.
Nice.
And he's doing amazing things down here, with that. But I think back and I think about, man, I wasn't, I was present, but not always
But
there.
not there.
Yeah. And it was more about me. It was more about my selfishness and I had a lot of anger. No, I never hit my kids. I never touched, like, not that, but I was always,
Hmm.
if we had an opportunity and we were in a bar, I would love. I didn't care. I would do, please. I wished all the
Hmm.
time because I didn't care. But it was such a horrible way to live your life with that constant feeling. Now, you look like a happy-go-lucky guy, like nothing really fuels you like
Well,
that. But I
no,
never
I
know.
mean,
I never
yeah,
know.
like, I try to have a great outlook, but I also have a massive fire, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can be angry, absolutely. And my boy, so to go back to that original, he wasn't upset with me. He had, he was 18 at the time, and he was in high school in Malibu, so he went to high school in Malibu, and he was surrounded by excess, and
Oh, yeah.
party, and so he was used to it, um, and partake himself. I'm not stupid. He was,
Yeah, of course.
so I think what was beautiful about it was the fact that he recognized in me pieces of him.
Oh wow, that's unbelievable.
And he was like, uh-oh. So so right after we had the accident and we ended up coming back to California, I sat down with the three boys myself outside, um, and just literally like spilled it all out to the three boys. And I wanted to be as open as possible with them so that they could ask questions, um, feel like there was no um, wrong way of thinking about it,
Right.
everything. So we had just this real heart to heart crying moment
I love that. I was going to
among the
ask you,
three
did you get
boys.
emotional? Did you get I mean,
Oh, hell yeah. Of
it's super important
course.
that people hear this
Super
because
important because more
I'm
than
a very emotional guy. Like I wear my
Oh,
emotions on
absolutely.
my sleeve.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
absolutely. I laugh at people, guys are like, oh, I don't cry. I'm like, whatever,
yeah,
shut up.
whatever, guy.
I'm
Yeah.
like I'm so passionate I could cry easily.
Me too.
I'm like,
Me.
but I care a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a great conversation with the boys, and I think it was again like everything happens for a reason, and I really I think what happened to me in that aspect was so that I averted my sons from having that same thing.
Yeah.
Especially my oldest son, who tends to have a lot of my same tendencies in that particular way.
Yep.
Um, and I think it was just, an eye-opening experience for all three of them, which was, it sucked. Like again, I was ashamed and fucking
Of
felt like an
course.
idiot. But at the same time, I was like, I'm going to make this right from this. And how can we actually build off of this so we change that trajectory so
And
we don't
also
continue this way?
blessed that you're alive. Like, I mean, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
100%.
It could have went,
100%.
I mean,
Could have been
so
horrible,
you could have
you
been
know?
horrible. Like,
I could have been
and
in jail the rest of my life. I could have killed someone else, you
seriously,
know?
seriously. Yeah.
So yes, it was tough.
How about
And
next question?
yeah.
Your wife. I mean, obviously she stuck by you through all the time and she had been the one. Listen, I'm not gonna say my ex-wife didn't say that I didn't have a problem and she wanted me to stop. And I, you know what, the environment that I was in, living in Jersey, where I was, and that's no excuse. But I was never, I mean, it took me 2,500 miles and a divorce and getting away from all of that, getting outside of Wall Street. I'm still in it, but I'm not in the day-to-day stuff anymore. For
Mhm.
me to realize that, man, I was killing myself. And I was unhappy with me, right? So like there was a lot of that going on. And then obviously my wife today who came into my life saved my life because she could actually understand me. Most people couldn't, most people just thought I was just a lunatic and had a problem and like, but she could dig deeper and understand that that wasn't really me. I was fighting a lot of demons. And your wife, I can't wait to meet her someday. Obviously, she stuck by you with all this stuff that went on and she had been saying it from the beginning, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, she recognized it early on, really. And
most great
yeah,
women do. Yeah.
she's an incredible woman in and of herself. We've been very fortunate as a couple to survive a lot of different instances as a couple that would probably, oh, I know it would have broken other couples. Um, like I tell people, I'm like, literally been there, done that. If you tell me something that is wrong with your relationship, I'm sure I've gone through it.
Right.
Because we're celebrating 30 years this year, and
Congratulations.
we we've put each other through the ringers. But with that, we've been able to grow individually. So the best thing for the analogy of this is to think of a field with two tire tracks that make the road, right? You just see two
Yep.
tracks that go and there's like grass in between it, you know?
Yep.
And her and I have been on this road together on individual tracks,
Yep.
yet we're on the same path. So it's allowed us to grow individually as adults, right? But it's also allowed us to then kind of come together as a couple and then kind of it's just been a really amazing journey because yeah, I mean, of course she threatened many times to be like, all right, I'm done. She's like, I'm done with this. Like,
Yeah.
but we'd always fast forward to the vision that we've always kept so strong in our minds, which is, we're 100 years old, sitting on these two rocking chairs, holding hands, watching the sunset, you
Right.
know? And we've always held that vision in our brain, so it's that vision has always been stronger than the pothole in the road.
Which is great.
So yeah, it's been amazing. And again, it's allowed us to it's allowed us to both really grow in a lot of different ways.
Right.
And um it's made her an unbelievable mindset coach,
Yeah.
because again, she's been there, done that, and can relate to a lot of people and can speak authentic, like really authentic,
Yeah.
when it comes to helping people. Um, and like I tell people, I'm like, listen, I'm like, just like life, relationships, they're not easy. And
Nope.
some relationships just don't work out, and it's better off that they don't. But for us, we're just very fortunate that, we have this, we just have this bond.
Your
And
soulmates. That's what it comes down to.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you're
like
blessed.
that's just the way it
Blessed.
worked.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah, that's how I feel about my wife. It's funny. I think I might have told you this. We grew up together, went to elementary school together, didn't see each other for 30 years, and then get reconnected, and here we are today,
You know,
living in Southwest Florida from the Northeast. It's weird how things work out. So, yeah, I think, like I said, there's no my son Tyler, the 19-year-old. He's very religious. He's actually. And this is why I was asking about your kids, because it's interesting to see how all my kids have kind of shifted their views on because of what they saw me doing when I was drinking and like how they are. My oldest son does. I mean, he'll have, his girlfriend's becoming a cop in Boston, and he lives in South Boston. And, obviously being in Boston, there's a lot of beer drinking and a lot of stuff, good stuff to be done there. But he limits his partying. They don't really party. They're just too busy. And and I will tell you this, he was a big weed smoker.
hmm
And again, I know why, and I'm going to share this with you because it falls back on my shoulders and being accountable and being a man and taking responsibility for this. Because I was a crazy lunatic, he was suppressing all the things, and his defense mechanism was, let me escape by smoking weed. This is how I relax. And
sure.
I knew he was doing it at a young age.
hmm
And he did it all the way through college. And now you got college athletes that they're allowing college. I mean, he was a college baseball player. They're allowing them to smoke weed because they say they need it to come. Like, come on, man, you're allowing drugs. Like you're allowing stuff, put foreign substances in your body. I don't care if it's a plant or a chemical, to do that, and then add alcohol to the mix. And then where are we? We're in the same boat that I was in on Wall Street, but you're starting at a younger age. So he's going on almost 320 days he quit weed, and he was doing it
Nice.
daily since he was probably 16 years old. And I'm so proud of him. But my 19-year-old saw the path that I was on, and he doesn't drink at all. Now, he's
hmm
going to be 20 in 3 days, 4 days, and does not even think about it. So I'm blessed because I mean, I wish that I didn't do what I did in college because it ruined my baseball career. I didn't drink in high school. I don't know.
hmm
I got peer pressured into, this is what the mindset was. You go to college, you drink,
That's
and
what you do.
of course, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be great at that too. So I was a great drinker. I'm going to be a great baseball player. I'm going to be like anything we put out,
100%.
we put our minds to, we're going to be
Yep.
great.
We're gonna
So
do it
good,
well.
bad, or indifferent. Yeah, and there was no shut off valve. So I'm watching these these young men and women kind of change their lives based off of the mistakes that I made, and that's why I was asking you: do
Correct.
your kids see things differently? I mean, I'm sure. Listen, they're in
A
college,
hundred percent.
do their thing, but
A hundred percent though.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're,
it's definitely made an impact on them. I mean, I know my youngest is like, I'm never gonna drink at all.
that's
Um, and
and I
then
think
I
the
know,
youngest always hits home first. Yeah,
Yeah, and I know even Sam, I mean, he's mentioned it even, I mean, because he went to he's at LSU now, and he actually got into like one of the best fraternities there and went through that. He's just like, I watch these because he actually took a gap year in between too. So he's a little older as
Older.
as a freshman.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm watching these kids, and he's just like, I'm just over this. He's like, like I
I
love
love
being a
it.
part of the fraternity, and he's like the people I'm meeting because of it, which he's meeting just amazing people.
Oh, I'm sure. And what an
And he's
amazing
just,
school, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so he's just like, it's interesting to see him kind of like really becoming him a man,
Yeah.
and understanding like, yeah, like, okay, that's cool. But he's like, he understands that he doesn't want to get out of that control, which
Yeah.
he's done in the past. Um, and it's great to see him kind of understanding that now instead of, at 40 or whatever,
Yeah. Right. Like, and
you
yeah.
know,
I mean, I didn't stop. I'm a 5 years, March 7th. So, I mean, I
there you go.
stopped drinking when I was 47,
I
so
was, I was 48.
yeah. So it all hit well, COVID 2020, when everybody's drinking went through the roof. Um, because isn't that crazy? I mean, we can go down
Yeah.
that path too.
Hey, you can't do
Like,
anything else but go
but
buy alcohol.
right, but they closed the gyms and they closed
Yeah.
churches, but you could still get to the liquor store. Isn't
Go
that
ahead and buy
amazing?
drinks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Interesting.
and you can sit on
It's
your ass and
that's a
watch
whole other
Netflix.
podcast we could go on.
Oh, you know what? You're gonna come back on and we're gonna talk about that too. Like I really,
Easily.
yeah, easily talk
Easily.
about that because don't even tell
Yeah.
me that that wasn't part of the. But okay,
That's
that's for
bullshit.
another time. That's for
Yeah.
another time. And another reason why we were supposed to meet because we think alike.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about now. You've turned the corner. You're doing amazing things. Tell me about your company that you got going on, and then let's talk about your wife's company.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been in the business of helping people my entire professional career. We started off with an education company that taught computer skills to children ages 3 to 9 back in 1999, and we did that for 16 years almost, and then we ended up partnering with the Discovery Channel, and that's when I decided that I was going to kind of switch roles. And I was always into fitness, being I was always athletic. I was always the guy like doing something.
Right.
And I I was actually we had bought a ranch in Morrison, Colorado, and I had a big barn there, and it was full of what people thought were going to be horses. They're like, "Oh, you're going to put horses in there?" I'm like, "No, I don't want horses." And I
Right.
made it a gym.
No
Um,
shit.
and I started working out there on Sunday mornings, and there was, our community had about 20 homes in it throughout, so people were always, walking and stuff, and they would see me working out, and they were like, "Hey, can we come work out with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I started training people in my barn, and they were like, "Wow, you were really good at this," and I'm like, "Wow, I really loved it because it still had that the educational aspect of it." So
Right.
I decided I was like, I'm going to open a gym. So I opened a gym up in Denver, and it just blew up. It was amazing. Like we literally changed the face of fitness in Denver,
That's
and
awesome.
it just was awesome. So that company grew into what my wife and I now have called Strong Confident Living, which was really focused on at that point fitness, nutrition, and mindset because I felt like those three components were so important for living a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And then when we came out to California, we ended up selling the gyms in 2019, right before COVID happened. And
Wow.
they're still running in Denver now.
By the way,
So they
you
were
said gyms plural, so you have more than one.
I had three of them at the time in Denver. Yeah,
God
but
bless.
I did boutique style gym. I don't, my biggest gym was 1,200 square feet. We did classes only, and I never lost money from the day I opened.
Wow.
I never the first month I was profitable.
Come on.
Um, first
Which
month.
is
Which is
unbelievable.
unheard of
It's
because again,
not. It's not.
I kept my expenses low,
Yep.
right, and I offered a great product, and
Yeah.
it was pretty simple. And so when we came out to California, we started meeting people, and Laura really became known for more of her mindset teaching, and then she actually got an opportunity to be on Selling Sunset on Netflix
Yeah.
because she helped one of her best friends manifest a role onto the actual program. So her best friend became one of the realtors on the program. So like, of course, she was like, I want to bring you on to show people like how like the power of goal setting works.
Right.
So she went once she went on selling Sunset for season 4, like her mindset thing just like
It must have
took
went
off,
nuts.
went nuts, and
Yeah.
she really. And it was funny because at that point, people were still calling her a trainer, even though she wasn't the trainer. I was, because we did everything together.
Right.
And I was like, Laura, I'm like, I'm sick and tired of people calling you a trainer when you're not a trainer. You're an actual mindset coach. I'm
Right.
like, break up with me. She's like, huh? I'm like, let's separate out strong, confident living instead of it being fitness, nutrition, and mindset. And I'm like, let it just be mindset. I'm
Right.
like, your mindset thing is taking off. Let you like step into this role.
Yeah.
And
Grow.
she
Grow.
did, and it's just been amazing. And at that same time, my cousin-in-law on her side, so her cousin who lives in Bradenton,
Right. You said
yeah,
that. As
he
I said,
approached
your
us.
next stop may be in Southwest Florida. And you should like
I
Brady.
was looking at
Like I
houses
live
in
right around the
Sarasota the
corner.
other day.
You were?
I was.
I
Um,
love it.
so he approached us because he's like, listen, I've been watching you guys on Strong Confident Living for years. What you guys do it's just amazing. I'm going through my own health journey right now. He's like, I'm sick and tired of being. He was turning 60. He's like, I'm sick and tired of feeling like crap. He's like, I'm trying all these products and they suck. He's like, I see you guys are, doing products. He's like, what about combining, because he was a direct sales guy. Um, he was an inventor. He was a product guy. He's like, listen, he's like, I've been studying the health industry. I know which products are hot out there. He's like, I just teamed up with this amazing anti-aging doctor out of North Carolina who believes food is medicine. He's like, I think we've created some amazing formulas. Would you guys want to like combine efforts and create a wellness company and just revolutionize everything? He's like, I want to leave a legacy. And we're
Love it.
like, great, and so we were talking about different concepts, and people have been approaching us for shows, and they were like, what, like, and we were like, well, we have this really interesting idea because, you know, like, have you ever heard of extreme? Like, this was when we were talking to producers. We're like, have you ever heard of, like, you remember extreme house makeover or like
Yeah.
extreme makeover? They're like, of course. Well, like, well, instead of flipping homes, we want to flip people. We want to flip their lives. We want people to have their flip my life moment. So we were telling this to John, and John's like, that's the name of our company. He's like, can we use that name for the company? So we're like, absolutely. So Flip My Life is our wellness company where we sell at this moment right now shakes and collagen.
Right.
And
Which I
we've
did order some, everybody. So
that's
get on it.
awesome.
Get on it.
And we're having just a tremendous response from it because we, not only really were so die hard on sourcing the best products and creating the best shake, but we specifically made these shakes to um, aid your gut biome. And we did this with the doctor's, intelligence in mind, being like, if you can heal people's guts, then it will change and it will give them their flip my life moments, because everybody's gut is
Yeah.
in trouble because
Yeah.
of foods we eat, the toxins we have in our body, in our systems, in our air, in our water. He's like, I can develop this formula to help people scrub their gut. And when you can scrub your gut, your body will just change. So
And
we
that's the
said,
truth.
let's do it. And so I jumped on board with Flip My Life, and we're having just such tremendous success. And I brought on a good buddy of mine named Neil McDonough, who is, if people know him, he's a really great actor. And I helped
Fantastic guy.
train him for a new movie that he's coming out in Memorial Day called The Last Rodeo. And when he
Yep.
approached me, he's like, listen, I got to get in shape. I'm going to be a rodeo star. I'm like, sick. Like, that's awesome. Let's do it. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'm going to train you. I'm like, but if I'm going to train you, I'm like, remember, it's not just the work we put in, but it's the nutrition we fuel ourselves with. I'm like, I want you to supplement your nutrition with my Flip My Life products, and let's see what happens. And I mean, he went from what he calls the Homer Simpson dad bod
Yeah.
into this like ripped rodeo
I
star.
saw I saw him. I saw
Yeah,
the
I mean,
trailer. He's jacked.
ripped, Jack,
Yeah.
and he's
And how old is he?
he's 58.
Yeah, 58. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's like, dude, he's like, these products are amazing. He's like, how do I get involved? I'm like, I'd love to have you be a spokesperson for this. So he's the spokesperson now, and it's just really helping us drive awareness. And we're bringing on even more and more some really
How
cool.
did you get to, not to cut you off, but how did you get to meet somebody? I mean, I know you're out in Cali, and so
Yeah,
there's
so I got really lucky with meeting Neil.
not
My
lucky. Can I just tell you this?
That's true. It happened for a reason.
There's a reason, because
Okay,
there's no
there is
such
a
thing
reason.
as luck, and there's no
I
such,
agree. You're right.
yeah, there's no
You're
such
right there.
thing as luck. There's
So
not.
my son was a senior in at Malibu and had a head injury and couldn't. He was the starting quarterback and couldn't play his senior year.
Oh,
So instead of quitting the team, I was like, listen, I'm like, this is your because again, we're coaches, right? I'm like,
right.
this is your opportunity to be a part of the team and help coach the team. So Neil's son was younger and wanted to be quarterback. So my son kind of took him under and helped him become the starting quarterback. And we happened to be sitting at the first game, and I didn't know Neil at that point. And I was sitting there watching the game, and he came up and sat down next to me, and he's like, "What are we going to do about this team?" Because again, like they weren't the best football team in the world because Malibu doesn't have a lot of athletes; they got a lot of actors.
Right. Right. Yeah, I got
so
you.
so anyway, we started sitting there, and he's talking to me, and I recognized him, but I was just like, oh, all right, that's cool. And he's like, he starts talking to me. He's like, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from the Northeast. He's like, get out of here. He's like, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm like, oh, forget it. Like,
We're good.
we're done. We're
We're
good.
good.
So
Yeah,
like we instantly bonded and like our mentality bonded. He's like everything just kind of clicked from there. And we just became really, really good friends from that
that's
point
great.
forward.
Yeah.
And so it's just like again, one of those coincidences that just put people in
Coincidences.
place.
Again, I'll give you this too. I read in this part of the Bible, there's no such thing as luck or coincidences. It happens
Exactly.
for a reason. Because if you actually put those two words into, I just heard about this through our pastor. He's like, you know, if you put luck should have it after everything that's happened in your life, you think about it, that's not how it works. Luck doesn't have
So
anything to do with
true.
it. It's supposed to
So
happen this
true.
way.
Yeah.
Suppose
So
you
we
were
were
supposed
I
to
was
know.
supposed to meet Neil
Yeah, exactly. Like we were supposed
so
to
that
know.
we could go on and give people the opportunities to have their flip my life moments.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all part
Yeah.
of it. It's all
Exactly.
and for me too, like I was never on TikTok. I was never on social media because I was living such a horrible life and doing things that were not good for anybody that I didn't want anybody. I flew under,
Didn't
tried
need
to
to share
fly as
that.
far under the radar as possible. So I knew nothing about this. And now
Yeah.
I have people helping me with this. And now I meet you through TikTok with my first guest ever. And it's been truly, truly amazing, man. It's been truly
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
blessed that you thank you for reaching out, saying that you wanted to come on. Here's what I will tell all my listeners and to everybody on your side too. You're an unbelievable person because you have the balls to step up and tell your story. That is very, very important. You have the balls to tell your story, which most people in this world don't. They don't. They're always, oh, we got to hide that. Or your kids do something wrong. We got to protect them from that. You actually had the balls to come on the show. Now, whether I have 5 listeners or 5,000 listeners or 50,000 listeners, I wish I did. But people are going to hear this. They're going to hear the fact that you made a change in your life for the better.
Exactly.
And I'm so blessed that you came on. I'm so blessed that we met. And I can't thank you enough for this. Truly. I
Well,
consider
again, it was
you
my
a friend.
absolute pleasure.
I consider you a friend, and I look forward to doing our other conversation because that
I
one's
can't
that one's
wait.
gonna get good. I can't wait. That one will be a good one. That'll
It
be a good
sure
one.
will.
That'll be mind blowing. It'll be great. And
I
and
can't
and
wait.
please thank your wife too. I know you guys are very busy, and I know you guys have a lot on your plate, and your kids for you being able to come on and tell your story. It's super important that people hear this because, like I said, most people want to hide their shame. And
Yeah.
and me and you put it out there like this is what needs to be talked about.
Because it's real life, right?
It's
You
real
can't
life.
you gotta be real, and you don't
And
know what impact that's going to have on those people who are out there. I call it the silent hand raisers, right?
yeah,
Like there's so many people out there doing this silently that no one recognizes because they're afraid to say something or they're afraid to take that first step. And the biggest thing I always tell them is, don't fear it, embrace it. right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with showing that you're not perfect because guess what? No one is.
No,
So
no,
that's the
that's
beauty of it. No one's
exactly,
perfect. And if they tell you
exactly,
they are, go on to the next person because
exactly. They're
they're full of
not
shit.
supposed to be in our family. Keep moving,
Yeah.
keep moving.
Yeah.
Next one. Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to thank you again. What a wonderful conversation. I look forward to doing this again. And thank you to all my listeners. Please continue to like, subscribe, share the message. This is super important that the more people that hear this stuff, the easier it gets for people to talk about. And one of the biggest things we lack in our country is communication because we're buried in our phones and we don't talk to each other enough. And like you said, with relationships, it's not easy. It's not so, but when you have communication in a line of dialogue every single day, it makes your life a lot easier, good, bad, or indifferent. So I do appreciate it,
100%.
man. You're the best.
100%. You
Thank
too,
you so
sir.
much for coming on.
Love it.
God bless.